Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. Welcome back to another Steam Deck video. I'm going to be talking about 1 week on the Steam Deck, giving you my thoughts, opinions, going through a couple of questions that you've asked me as well from the community post that I put up. I'll briefly touch through some of them now, or the ones I had, and we'll talk about it. So I had a question about performance and any stuttering on gameplay. I think personally for me, having the metrics up sometimes gives you a feeling that things are more stuttery than they may be if you weren't looking at the metrics. But throughout the videos that I have been putting up on the channel, if you have a look at those graphs in the amount of gameplay that I show you, you can see generally get a feeling of how stuttery or not stuttery a game is. I will put in some footage and we'll talk about, and yeah, I'll put in some footage just showing sort of when that happens, when those spikes occur. In fairness, the Steam Deck seems pretty decent, and I think if you tune the settings, resolution, scale, that sort of thing appropriately, you can mitigate for any of the potential stuttering that you might otherwise see. So that's probably the first one. As I say, you know, there's pretty good examples that we can do of that. And in fact, I will boot up a game while I'm thinking about it. I don't have too much installed actually, because I'm preparing another video, will it run video, which I know we all thoroughly enjoy. But I'll load up Elden Ring anyway, because you know it's obviously one of the newer ones, but not actually too prone to stuttering. They seem to have done a pretty good job with Elden Ring. And I do also want to talk about battery life as well. It's one of the questions I have been asked quite a bit in terms of how does the battery life do. You know, it's not something I've touched on. I've had it plugged in via a USB-C dock for most of it. I haven't really done too much else in terms of like playing with it handheld per se. In fact, I haven't really played with it that much at all. So hopefully I charged it up to near full. Okay, well, yeah, 94%, which isn't too bad. Should give us a decent indication of what time's left. So I don't know what's going on with Elden Ring. Sometimes it doesn't want to boot up first time, but I'll zoom in just so we can see the metrics a little bit better, because that's sort of what I want to focus on. If it did not. So as you can see, there's a battery column there. So it currently says 94%, which is, you know, there or thereabouts, getting there in terms of being fully charged. So this will vary quite a lot, and one of the points I wanted to make in one of the comments is that, you know, this will change based on what you're doing in the game, of course, based on how much wattage you're looking to draw. Now, a good thing is, in terms of Elden Ring, it's going to be pegged at 99% on the GPU pretty much all the time. Well, yeah, pretty much all the time. And the CPU will work pretty hard as well. So it's a pretty good example of what you can expect full blown. So as you can see at the minute, it's got 1 hour 50 going down still. Obviously it's going down as it uses battery. Obviously worth noting on that one. But it will eventually sort of settle in, or it will stop declining so quickly. But we are using the full 25 watts. So I'm not doing the maths in my head right now, but that's about an hour and a half, I think. So that's roughly what you would expect to get out of Elden Ring, without a 30 FPS cap on it, of course. If you capped it at 30 FPS, you might drop a couple watts. You might get that 1 hour 45 or something like that. So yeah, so I guess just a little bit of an explanation on the line graph. As you can see, there are obviously spikes and dips, but it's not so much the issue of there being spikes. It's where there are huge differences, and that's where you notice the stuttering. So it's not necessarily the fact that there's maybe a higher or a lower frame rate, although this game is quite difficult to play through a viewfinder, but I guess that's to be expected. Like I say, Elden Ring is more of a slow down kind of game than a stutter kind of game, and I need to find one that's got a good example of a stutter to be able to show you properly. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. So performance is really good. I mean, I imagine I've probably still got this on Let me check, but I imagine I've probably still got this on medium settings. No resolution. I don't know if there is a resolution scale on this. Can't remember. Okay, I got it at 720p rather than 800, and I got it on high. Okay, well, there you go then. But yeah, seems to be fine. You know, I've not done any tweaks to it or messed around with it. Obviously, you might want to drop settings to get more battery life. All that sort of stuff makes sense. We had a nice temperature there for a little bit, but yeah, just to give you a bit of an overview. And I don't know what else I can really say about the performance. The performance itself is great. Probably, you know, because I've not had a chance, like I say, not had a chance to really test out the battery life in any sort of anger or anything like that, unfortunately, but I'm sure I will. But I already know what to expect. It's going to be limited. You know, am I going to sit somewhere and play it for 2 hours? Probably not, until I end up, you know, going away and taking it with me. In terms of in my own house, doesn't really matter so much. There's a charging port everywhere, so in most places anyway, not in the bathroom though, unfortunately. So yeah, I think, you know, maybe a bit more work can be done on showing you stuttering, but in terms of general performance, pretty good. And I don't also believe that the stuttering would necessarily be a hardware issue. I think it would be limited to software, so mileage may vary based on the like 700 games I've got. A couple of them probably will stutter. Some of them won't even work. One of the other ones I had was in terms of, because there's no removable Joy-Cons, what will happen with when joysticks go and that sort of thing. So Steam will be, they haven't made it yet, but they will be making spare parts available. So I think thumbsticks is one of the ones that they were talking about, and they're their own bespoke modules. So they're on a ribbon cable with a couple of screws once you've taken the back off, in order to be able to replace, which is incredible, assuming that we do actually start to see that sort of thing. And having taken apart the Steam Deck myself, I have cracked it open at the back. You might be thinking, why is that? Another cat hair. Thanks, Wilfred. Because this analog stick here was squeaky. Now that can happen with controllers. I've had it happen with Xbox, a couple of Xbox controllers now. And it basically just needs a little bit of lubricant to stop the squeaking from the spring. So I was a bit nervous, but I did take it apart, and actually, you know, you take apart these screws. I think the ones in the corners are slightly longer than the ones in the middle, from what I remember. And it comes out pretty easily with a spudger. And then, yeah, there's nothing connected to the back panel, and getting at the spring up here was actually pretty easy. A bit disappointing that I had to open it up so early. Obviously a bit nerve-wracking to open up something like this where you make a mistake and bad things, getting another one is not even possible, let alone affordable necessarily. So yeah, disappointing that we're in that situation, but you know, stuff like that is what I consider to be like a semi-serviceable bit. Annoying, of course, but I don't know if I've not heard of anyone else having issues with the controls yet, but they need to be tested in anger, and once again, I haven't really had a whole lot of chance to do that. I would like to, you know, maybe complete some games on this before I give that sort of opinion on it. And last one that I had from the community was in terms of fan noise. That's something that I will do at the end of this video as a separate little bit, because I've got a setup where we're going to go through and just have a little bit of a play around with the fan noise and stuff. So yeah, that will be spoken about in this video. This is obviously quite a long video, actually, I guess because I have quite a lot of thoughts on it, and I do thank you for the questions as well. So having used this mainly in USB Type-C docked mode, I can tell you that the USB-C docking ability is inconsistent, shall we say, and I believe, don't know if I'm just being skeptical here, but I believe this is why the dock has been delayed, because I think there might be some issues with getting it to work reliably with the Type-C. And I've had that happen. I've had audio cut out, audio desync. I'm not sure if some of that is through the capture card, but I've had it where it's not connected first time. It's sort of sometimes got itself stuck, where it'll just have a black screen and it won't respond to me waking the device up. Once I've taken the cord out, it almost needs to like reset itself to get back. And obviously there's loads of different Type-C docks out there, so mileage will of course vary. on that. It's still disappointing though that the deck doesn't really seem to quite like it. The good thing is, I imagine it's all software, so it's definitely something that can be fixed. I'm 99% sure it's something that could be fixed. And hopefully it is in time for the Steam Deck dock to come out, because I think that'll be a really key accessory, because it has been really nice to use on a screen. I've used it with a mouse and keyboard. They all connected perfectly fine. Power pass-through on my hub worked perfectly fine. So, all that stuff is a big advantage. I've also got a couple of SD cards. So I've been switching between, this is a 64 one that I've been using for the unsupported game list. I then have a 256 gigabyte one for Bethesda games, and then I have a 512 one for just everything else. And switching between them was pretty seamless. It loads up the library straight away. I've been really impressed with how they've utilised the SD card on these devices. You get a heck of a lot of freedom as well, which I really enjoy. So going on ProtonDB, working through the unsupported games, if there are workarounds or hacks or fixes that can potentially get a game working, like Arkham Asylum is a big one of those, and Lego Lord of the Rings, you can go into desktop mode and you can apply it, which I think is incredible. I do want to spend more time in actual desktop mode, but I haven't had a chance to do anything with it yet. I haven't even changed the wallpaper. But the store, or the, I don't know what it's called now, application something or other, is pretty good. Oh, okay. So I think we maybe had another update going on and I upset it. Sounds like what I've been up to. I like the fact that it's quite easy to apply the experimental Proton as well for your game page. I find that quite useful, especially for troubleshooting games. I think, to be honest, if you are pretty keen on PC gaming, you don't have to specifically like Linux, but that's something I noticed as well, actually. It doesn't like to do other stuff while you're downloading games. It's a little bit finicky about that, but I guess that sort of makes sense. And you like to tinker a little bit, and you want to mess around with stuff. This is perfect for it, because you do have a fully fledged PC. I mean, there's no other way to put it, and I'm not trying to sell you the thing. I don't need to sell you the thing. And I think that's probably one of the great bits about it, is that I sort of didn't really have any expectation with it. I just thought it would be good, and it certainly is. And I think if you know what you want to use it for, then you can basically do pretty much everything on it. I think the only thing we're waiting for realistically is... Did I click on restart? I did. Oh well, never mind. I think the only real thing we're waiting for is a proper fix to or integration of the easy anti-cheat, which seems to still cause quite a lot of issues with a lot of stuff. So which is the mouse? I'm not used to using a normal mouse now, but there we go. So you can assign other buttons for the mouse click, which I've done. I've made it the bumper rather than the trigger, which still isn't great, but it gives me a bit more certainty. Oh, have I? Oh no, I did, but it seems to have reverted. The bumper gives you a bit more certainty as to when you actually click the damn thing. But no, I can't really complain. Like I say, I need to have a bit more of a go in the desktop mode, but I think there's a lot of potential there, which I'm happy about. And doing the Proton fixes as well and that sort of stuff has been really useful, being able to do it in the desktop mode, because everything carries over when you switch back into SteamOS. So any sort of like custom parameters you add to your games and whatnot, that all transfers through. So really, in terms of mods and stuff, the possibilities are limitless as long as the actual game itself runs. That's all I've got actually written down. So yeah, I'm not really sure what else I can necessarily say. One of the things I've realised is I don't use these buttons at the back. You can hear me clicking. The build and plastic quality is passable. It doesn't seem, and not that I've had a chance to try any of these, I know they're a lot more expensive, etc, etc, but they don't seem as premium as the Aya Neo. I guess and those sort of devices, and I guess that's part of just what you're paying for. in a way. That's one of the trade-offs. Like I say, disappointing about the trigger, but that can happen, of course, on any console at any time. So I don't feel any real sort of way about that, or not a negative way particularly, just more of a disappointment. And I have applied a screen protector as well to the device now from when I got it, and you probably can't even tell because it's actually really good. I got it off Amazon, and it doesn't add any sort of anti-glare or anything, of course. You can still see me perfectly fine, but doesn't affect touch in any way, and the instructions are actually one of the best I've ever had for installing a screen protector. So if you want, I can give you the, obviously just for the 256 and 64 gig model, I think. I can give you the link for that if you want to go on Amazon and have a look at that or a similar one. And I think other than that, I pretty much covered everything. There's stuff there's lots of stuff I haven't had a chance to try out, which is a bit of a shame, because I would have liked to have come with a bit more sort of personal experience with a lot, using the headphone jack, using the inbuilt speakers, all that sort of stuff, when I have not really had that amount of hands-on time with the deck. I know I've put out a lot of videos, but it's all been, like I say, it's all been through the hub. I've been far more interested in seeing what does and doesn't work on the thing, as opposed to actually really using it. But I managed to have quite a successful playing session on Elden Ring with the deck. I'm still right at the early stages, obviously, on it, but did manage to beat the Tree Sentinel, so that was quite satisfying, and definitely a plus to the deck for doing that. And yeah, I can't complain. I really enjoy I still really enjoy how the controls are laid out from my last video, in terms of the joysticks, the buttons. I think it's been already proven with the Wii U controller, which I played Breath of the Wild on, and that was no problem at all. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with that, and I'm really enjoying the Steam Deck. I think if you are into that sort of thing, I don't know, I can't recommend it enough. Assuming that it's worth the money to you, and you are aware that there are going to be the usual PC issues that crop up from time to time. Yeah, other than that, but then I imagine you probably already know and already want it and already have a reservation in to pick one up. So let me know if you want me to do a 2-week video or a 1-month video. I was thinking I might do a 2-week and then a month, and then leave it at that, I think, and unless I've got something extra to share. Like I say, we'll go on to talking about the fan noise now, and then yeah, I'll have a look at some other point, really looking at stutters and performance issues going forward. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been quite a long ramble, but hopefully it's given you a bit more insight, I guess, into my experience so far that I've had with the Steam Deck. And if you've got one, let me know what you think. If you disagree with any of it, or agree with any of the stuff that I've said, that would be great to know. And if there, like I say, if there is anything that you want specifically testing, or a question you've got, I'm more than happy to answer it if I can. I'm happy to test games as and when I can, assuming that I have them. I've had a lot of requests for games that I don't have naturally, but yeah, like I say, I'm more than happy to give a bit more in-depth into individual games, and that will certainly happen once I've finished the unsupported games list. And I guess just a sneak peek for whatever part this is that's going to be coming up. We've got Tekken 7, Mordhau, Chaos Bane. Oh, yeah. I think is it just those 3? It might just be those 3. There you go. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Okay, so this is my non-scientific setup for testing the fan noise on the Steam Deck. Apparently it's something that has been raised as a potential issue. I guess about the fan being particularly loud. So before I do go into it in a bit more detail, just to let everyone know, fans are not created equal. There's usually a 5 to 10% tolerance in terms of voltage, output, noise, airflow movement, that sort of thing. So static pressure. So yeah, just bear that in mind, of course, with this. Results will naturally vary. I'm also going to do standardised for the whole of this run with hopefully the Steam Deck around 9 inches away from the from the level meter, sound level meter. So I'm just going to be quiet and we'll establish a noise floor, which I think is quite important. So we'll call the noise floor around 45. That seems to be best. So that means obviously anything under 45 won't be picked up as an excursion, and anything over will be. So I will turn on the Steam Deck, and you should, I'll try and be quiet as much as possible, but you should start to see it pick up as it detects sound from the Steam Deck. So I'm going to set the Steam Deck down to minimal, and so there's no sound coming off it other than the fan now. And this is it, basically just, well, it's downloading a game at the minute, so not 100% idle. As you can see, the noise floor has picked up slightly, but what I'll do is I'll start Elden Ring, which is actually, assuming it boots up first time, is actually a pretty good example because it does stress the CPU and GPU, which will get the fan going after about a minute or two to its, what I would consider its highest level. Certainly audible, with no other external sound in the room. But the true test is the close to 100% fan speed, really, in my opinion. So the Elden Ring usually gets the temperature up into like the mid 70s-ish, I guess. So we'll let it get to that sort of range, which is where I'd expect the fans to ramp up a bit more. I guess I could help it by spinning the camera around. But yeah, we'll let it get up to a more higher temp and then we'll see. So from my experiences, this is generally as loud as a Steam Deck does get. Now, of course, this is just about 9 inches away from the source. And we seem to be setting a couple of decibels above my noise floor, so at least it picks it up of around like what, 46.7 I would say. Okay, 46.6 from 9 inches, which is, like I say, I think reasonable. I'll turn the volume up on the Steam Deck to about half. And instantly that's picked it up ahead of the, in terms of pure sound anyway, ahead of just the fan itself. The fan is still noticeable, of course, because it's on a different frequency to the in-game volume. But it feels almost as though it matches it. It's not masked. So let's do 3/4. So when we get to this point, I can't notice the fan now, almost at all. Have to really try and listen for it. And I presume this will become even less obvious when we get to 100%. So no fan sound there at all from me. Obviously I know I'm a little bit further away. An extra 6 inches or so. As a final comparison, I'll turn the volume down to the lowest, or well, let me turn it off now for some reason, and then I'll move it directly underneath the meter. If you stuck your ear underneath to the grill, what are you going to get? So you're roughly getting the same amount of decibels as if you had the Steam Deck on about half volume. So not quiet by any stretch, but anyone that's used any sort of gaming laptop before will be, in my opinion, I think absolutely pleased with the noise. Like I say, I haven't read or looked at any of the exact criticism with regards to the sound of the fan. I think the only thing is it's a smaller fan, so the frequency and noticeability therefore is slightly different to normal sounds like game sounds and ambient sounds and whatnot, and that's what makes it a bit more noticeable. It's just one of those though. If I compare it to the sound that my laptop makes, they're very similar, and they have in fact very similarly sized fans. So personally, to me, it's not an issue. If you're completely really sensitive about fans on devices, then maybe it is, or maybe it's just the fact that I perhaps have a fairly high noise floor in the office. I don't know, but hopefully that answers a few questions on how loud the fan is or isn't. Actually, to be fair, so having said that now, it has ramped up again slightly. And usually it's the changes in sound where it becomes the most noticeable. So yeah, I mean, I'll just check that we're far enough away. I'm sorry about this being a much longer segment than I first anticipated, but I'm quite interested now. I need to move it back slightly. Okay, and once again I'll just do what I did before. I'll put it on half volume. The wind effects are masking it quite well, but you can still notice the sound. And then I'll move it up to 3/4. Yeah, got to strain to hear that, but you certainly can, just about, because of the frequency, and then full volume I can't hear it at all. So yeah, I think hopefully that gives you a bit of an example as to the sound of the fan. Sound is difficult one to. I know that I don't know enough about sound to be able to give you a proper definitive answer, but hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea, and obviously based on my own experience as well. Okay, well, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this last segment. It's been quite a packed video. Apologies it's been so long. I won't waste any more of your time, but thanks for watching. See you. Bye for now.